Hi friends, I'm back again with my veranda rambling sessions. Today let's talk about a topic which is perhaps the most important things of our life. It's the subject of happiness, which ultimately is what we all seek. In the past few years I have read quite a few books trying to understand how different cultures are seeking an interpretation of happiness and what happiness really means in the context of advanced economies like Scandinavian and the Japanese. So I came across these two very interesting terms. One is a Scandinavian term called hige. It's H-U-G-G-E, but it's pronounced hige, which means coziness. And the second term is the Japanese term Ikigai. Ikigai, which means basically the pleasures and meaning of life, or the reason of life. So let's talk about Ikigai today. In a world where we are always under a pressure to perform, and by perform I mean to say that the pressure to show something concrete, whether it's in the form of money or a reward or a job or recognition, to define what we are in terms of contributing something to society, it puts us under a tremendous amount of pressure. Ikigai is not so much about the professional side of life, but it is actually about finding yourself into, immersing yourself into something which is a high level of personal standard just for your own sake. And Ikigai basically is to do more with the little things of life rather than the big and the humongous stuff that the world is made of. So it is basically about finding an inner sense of equilibrium, immersing yourself totally into whatever little work we do, and the emphasis is on the little things, the small little joys of life. So it's basically 5 principles, not very difficult because many philosophies do ultimately say the same things. But the key things that I found interesting were, one is the concept of what they call starting small, and the principle of kodavari. And kodavari is basically a personal standard of excellence that you bring into anything you do. You can find this in many Japanese things. The attention to the minutest details that goes, you can see it in your cars, you can see it in the Japanese whiskey, you can feed those of you who eat beef, I do not, would see it in the Kobe beef. So this little attention to detail is coming out of a total immersion of the person at work with his work, and that is called kodavari. And it is basically also an equivalent of the term creative flow that we hear in other societies. And that creative flow produces often excellence, but it also produces a tremendous sense of inner satisfaction, whether that effort is commercially a success or not is then secondary. And this relates to the second important principle I find, which is basically about harmony and sustainability, but it is not so much in the conventional sense that you don't fight with people, but it is more about acceptance. First of all, it begins with a sense of acceptance that you are a very small piece of this large creation called the universe, and a sense of self-abnegation that the individual is not important, it is the collective, the health of the collective that is important. And that is really what brings the whole concept of harmony with nature and harmony with the other parts of the society. And you'll find that in Japan there are no celebrities, or not as many celebrities as there are in the Western world, because the culture does not encourage exclusive status for the individual. The respect goes to the community, the tradition, the country, and not the individual. And this is a kind of equalizer which makes everybody feel important, and not just because they are celebrated or they are recognized. This is something I found very, very interesting thing too. The other thing I find is when you accept that you are only a small part, and you accept that there are others who are equally important, then it takes away conflict from your equation. The third important thing is, as I said, Ikigai is all about the small things of life. It is not about achieving the big. It is about finding that bliss and harmony in the little things that you do, sitting out in the veranda, enjoying a bird tweet, or hearing the discordant notes of a amateur singer trying to produce those notes, the whirring of a motor car on the road, just the quiet bliss of life as it is, or doing a tiny little thing like doing a little bit of a tinkering with a painting that you started many years ago, even sipping that morning cup of coffee in bliss and quiet. These little things is what the Japanese celebrate through their famous tea ceremony culture, where it is the concept is called Ichigo Ichi. This moment shall never come. This moment is fleeting, and it is once. It is a unique moment. You have to. So that is the concept of the being in the here and now. Nothing new really. All philosophies ultimately converge to the issues of acceptance and an inner purpose rather than an externally driven life. And this is what Ikigai teaches. But what I find unique in Ikigai is the rejection of celebrities, which I find is a very interesting concept worth considering in our societies, because in India we are hero worshippers. We are simply idol worshippers, and so that's something which is interesting to bear in mind. I hope you like it. Consider reading about Ikigai. I'm not a promoter of any books, but just to say that it's not my knowledge. I pick up all my knowledge from books. That's the life of a consultant.